In a world drowning in distraction and cheap dopamine, our minds have gone soft. We chase comfort, negotiate with ourselves on our own goals, and then wonder why we feel so fragile, so easily shattered by the slightest pressure. But what if the blueprint for an unbreakable mind was already written hundreds of years ago, forged not in a classroom, but in the crucible of life or death combat? We're talking about the code of the samurai, and to understand it, we're looking at the life of the most legendary swordsman of all time, Miyamoto Musashi. This was a man who fought in some 60 duels and walked away from every single one. These weren't just principles for fighting. They were laws for forging a mindset of ruthless discipline and quiet confidence. Today, we're decoding 7 of those ancient laws to build the modern warrior's mind. The samurai. The word alone conjures images of steel, discipline, and an almost mythical focus. But their true power wasn't just in the blade, it was in their code. This code, known as Bushido, or the way of the warrior, was an unwritten set of virtues that guided their every action. It was their operating system for life. Now, to be clear, the 7 virtues of Bushido were formalized in the 17th and 18th centuries after Musashi's time. Musashi was a ronin, a masterless samurai who walked his own path. He wasn't a Bushido practitioner in that sense. Days before his death in 1645, he wrote his own life philosophy, the 21 precepts of the Bushido, or the way of walking alone. But his life is the ultimate case study in the warrior spirit that Bushido later defined. By looking at his journey through the lens of these 7 virtues, we get a practical, real-world guide to mental toughness. Interestingly, these ancient Japanese laws run parallel to another great school of thought, Stoicism. Philosophers like Marcus Aurelius and Seneca, though separated by thousands of miles, arrived at the same conclusion. True strength is an inside job. It is not given, but forged. So, let's begin the forging. Law 1, G, justice and unwavering integrity. The first law is G, justice, righteousness, integrity. For the samurai, this was the bedrock of their character. It meant deciding on a course of action and seeing it through, knowing it was the right thing to do. There were no shades of gray. A samurai's word was their bond. Miyamoto Musashi embodied this not by chasing fame or money, but by using duels to perfect his craft and understand the way. He refused to be drawn into pointless battles that only served someone else's ego. His justice was an internal compass. In his Bushido, he wrote a precept that gets to the heart of this. You may abandon your own body, but you must preserve your honor. For Musashi, honor and personal integrity were the same thing. This perfectly mirrors the highest ideal of the Stoics. The Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius wrote to himself, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." That's the essence of G. It's not about talking about your morals. It's about a silent, daily commitment to your principles, especially when no one's watching. Today, Gi is the antidote to the path of least resistance. It's the guts to say no to a shady deal, even when it costs you. It's the discipline to deliver your best work, not for your boss, but because your own personal standard demands it. It's choosing the right path over the easy one, again and again. To apply G, start with a brutal self-audit. Where are you cutting corners for comfort? Where do your actions not line up with your words? Justice for the modern warrior is about closing that gap. Law 2, U, courage in the face of fear. The second law is U, or heroic courage. This isn't the absence of fear. The samurai knew only a fool feels no fear when death is on the line. U is the ability to act despite the fear. Musashi's life was a masterclass in this. At 21, he challenged the entire Yoshioka school of swordsmanship. After defeating its master and then the master's brother, the clan gathered dozens of swordsmen to ambush and kill him. Outnumbered and walking into a trap, Musashi didn't run. But he didn't charge blindly either. He used strategy. He arrived early, hid and launched a surprise attack that let him take out the new leader and escape. His courage wasn't reckless, it was smart, strategic and absolute. This is a perfect example of what the Stoics called the dichotomy of control. You separate what you can control from what you can't. Musashi couldn't control that a small army wanted him dead. He could control his strategy, his timing and his mindset. By focusing only on what he could control, he turned paralyzing fear into a weapon. Our battles today look different, but the fear is the same. It's the fear of starting a business, asking for that promotion, or just walking into a gym for the first time. The fear feels real, but you commands us to act anyway. So how do you apply this? Practice what the Stoics called negative visualization. Imagine the worst-case scenario. The business fails. You get turned down. You stumble over your words. Now make peace with it. Once you've accepted the worst, as Musashi did before every duel, you are free to act with total clarity. Fear no longer owns you. Courage isn't a feeling, it's a decision. Law 3, Jin, benevolence and compassion. The third law is Jin, benevolence and compassion. Seems like a strange virtue for a warrior, right? But for the samurai it was essential. Jin was the balance to their deadly skill. It ensured their power was used for good. A warrior without compassion is just a killer. A samurai with Jin is a protector. Musashi, often painted as this ruthless duelist, showed this side too. There are accounts of him sparing opponents who were outmatched. Understanding that a victory without purpose is meaningless, he knew true strength includes knowing when not to use it. Later in life, he traded his sword for a paintbrush, becoming a renowned artist. He channeled his intensity into creation, not just destruction. The Stoics called this sympathia, the idea that we are all interconnected. As Marcus Aurelius put it, what harms the hive harms the bee. Being kind isn't a weakness, it's the ultimate sign of confidence. A truly strong person has nothing to prove, so they can afford to be benevolent. In our world, Jin is about using your strength with grace. It's the leader who mentors their team without needing credit. It's the friend who actually listens without judgment. It's having the power to crush a competitor, but choosing to act with integrity instead. To practice Jin, look for chances to help others, especially when you get nothing out of it. Share your knowledge. When you're in a position of power as a boss, a parent, or just the person with more experience, use it to lift others up. The samurai knew your strength is best measured by what you give, not what you take. Law 4, Raya, respect and polite courtesy. The fourth law is Raya, which means respect. For the samurai, being polite was an expression of power. They were courteous even to their enemies. This wasn't weakness, it was a demonstration of self-control. If you are in complete command of yourself, you don't need to be rude or arrogant. Your confidence is quiet. You show respect to others because you have respect for yourself. Musashi showed a deeper form of this in his legendary duel against Sasaki Kojiro. Kojiro was the polished warrior. Musashi showed up late, unkempt, and carrying a wooden sword he'd carved from an oar. To everyone watching, it looked like the ultimate disrespect, but it was a strategic masterstroke. He respected Kojiro's skill so much that he refused to fight him on predictable terms. He respected the art of combat so much that he used psychology as his primary weapon. He respected the reality of the fight, not the social rituals around it. This is a form of Stoic mindfulness, giving your full attention to what's in front of you. True respect is a form of attention. When you really listen to someone, you're respecting them. When you focus on your work without distraction, you're respecting your craft. In a world that's constantly pulling for your attention, just focusing on one thing is a profound act of respect. To practice Raya today, start by mastering your domain. Respect your craft enough to give it your full focus. Put your phone away when you're with people. Listen more than you speak. treat everyone with a baseline of courtesy, not because of who they are, but because of who you are. Law 5, Makoto, honesty and absolute sincerity. The fifth law is Makoto, honesty and total sincerity. For a samurai, speaking and doing were the same thing. If a samurai said they would do something, it was as good as done. But this wasn't just about telling the truth to others. It was about being brutally honest with yourself. Makoto forbids self-deception. This is the very core of Musashi's philosophy. At age 13, he fought his first duel against an adult samurai, Arima Kihei. Musashi, just a boy, threw the man down and beat him to death. This brutal honesty about what combat really is, that it's about winning, not looking pretty, defines his life. He stripped away everything that wasn't essential. This sincerity is all over his Dokudo, especially in the rule. Do not seek pleasure for its own sake. Chasing cheap pleasure is a form of dishonesty, a way of distracting yourself from your true purpose. The Stoics called this living in accordance with nature, seeing reality clearly without delusion. In a world of social media and personal branding, Makoto is a revolutionary act. We are all encouraged to project an image of success and happiness. Makoto demands we strip that away for a private life of integrity over a public life of performance. To apply Makoto, get brutally honest with yourself. Where are you telling yourself convenient lies? Are you really too busy for the gym, or are you just avoiding discomfort? Keep a journal not for your feelings, but for the facts. What did I do today? Did it align with my goals? Your word must be your bond, especially the promises you make to yourself. Law 6, Meiyo, honor. The sixth law is Meiyo, or honor. For the samurai, honor was the ultimate judge. It was an internal code of conduct they lived by every day. Your reputation was simply a consequence of your honor, not the source of it. True honor was about living in a way that you yourself could respect. Musashi's entire life was a quest for this kind of honor. As a ronin, his honor wasn't tied to a lord, it was tied to the way. He lived and died by his commitment to mastering his craft. In one of his final precepts, he wrote something to the effect of, "Do not regret what you have done." That's the voice of a man who lived with Meiyo. He made his choices, accepted the consequences, and didn't waste time on regret because he knew he had acted according to his code. This is a profoundly Stoic idea. The Stoics believed virtue was the only true good. Reputation, wealth, and what others think are indifference, things outside your control. The only thing that truly matters is your character. Today, we're all conditioned to chase an external scorecard, likes, followers, promotions. Meiyo calls on us to reject that and build our self-worth from within. It's about defining your own values and living by them, whether you get applause or not. To cultivate Meiyo, define your non-negotiables. What are the lines you will not cross? That is your personal code. Honor is the daily practice of living by it. It's about taking extreme ownership, as Jocko Willink says, taking responsibility for everything in your world. Law 7, Chugi. Loyalty. The final law is Chugi, or loyalty. Traditionally, this meant absolute loyalty to one's lord. But for a ronin like Musashi, this took on a deeper meaning. With no master, who was he loyal to? Musashi was loyal to his path. He was loyal to the way of the warrior. He was loyal to his principles and his lifelong quest for mastery. This is the hardest and most important kind of loyalty, loyalty to your own purpose. It's the discipline to show up every day, not because a boss is watching, but because you are loyal to the person you are trying to become. The Stoics saw this as loyalty to your own rational mind, your ruling faculty. It's a commitment to act with reason and virtue, no matter how you feel. It's loyalty to your higher self. In our world, we're encouraged to jump from thing to thing whenever we get bored or uncomfortable. Chugi is the opposite. It's the decision to stay the course. It's the artist who paints for a decade before selling a single piece. It's the entrepreneur who keeps grinding long after the initial excitement has faded. It's honoring your workout schedule, even when you're tired and unmotivated. To practice Chugi, you have to define your way. What is your purpose? What craft are you trying to master? Once you know, you commit to it. Your feelings are irrelevant. Motivation comes and goes. Loyalty is what remains. Be loyal to your habits, your schedule, and the promises you make to yourself. This is the final law that binds all the others, creating the consistency that makes you unbreakable. So there they are: justice, courage, benevolence, respect, honesty, honor, loyalty. Individually, they're powerful virtues. Together, they form an operating system for a life of strength and purpose. Miyamoto Musashi didn't become a legend because he was good with a sword. He became a legend because his mind was the ultimate weapon, forged by principles like these. In our world of comfort and chaos, these laws are a blueprint for building an inner citadel, a fortress of the mind that can't be broken by what happens on the outside. The path isn't easy. It is, as Musashi said, a path you may have to walk alone. But it is the path of the warrior, and it is a path worth walking. So here is your challenge. Choose one of these 7 laws, just one. For the next week, make it the absolute focus of your life. If you choose courage, do one thing every day that scares you. If you choose honesty, track your actions with brutal sincerity. Which law will you choose? Let us know in the comments. The way is in the training, and the training never ends. Subscribe to keep forging that modern warrior's mind.